The 2026 horoscope overview for the sign of Virgo. So, if you are a Virgo or you have Virgo rising in your birth chart, this is the horoscope video for you. So, as we get to about late April, April 26, you're going to have this increasing sense of restlessness and wanting more out of life. Chances are you started to feel those rumblings or those inklings of wanting change between July and November of 2025. You're going to want more freedom, more flexibility, and autonomy when it comes to your work and your professional life in particular. That's because the planet Uranus is moving into Gemini and your 10th house, and it's going to be there for approximately 7 years. So, this is a longer range cycle, a once in a lifetime cycle, where everything to do with your career, your professional path, your reputation, and your just the overall direction you are steering your life toward, you are going to want more change. You're going to want things that are different, flexible, unique, and that really spark your curiosity. Uranus is a planet that loves change. Whether you want change or not, Uranus is going to bring it forth. I often think about the planet Uranus as the idea of not all storms come to disrupt you, some come to clear the path. So Uranus does bring a little bit of chaos a lot of the time. I know as a Virgo, you're not going to want to hear that, but it can bring a little bit of chaos to help you make decisions that are going to be more authentic to you, that bring you the freedom, the flexibility, and the autonomy you deeply you deeply want. So, you might be a bit sick of being micromanaged or focusing on the details to the point where you're thinking, what else could there be for me and my life? So, because the 10th house is at the top of the chart, chances are from the top down, you're going to want to change your life. It's going to be an experimental period for you. So, it's not going to be a situation where you do one or two things and that's enough. You're going to want to do more and more. You may want to also be less location dependent. So, say, for example, if you're one of those people who still maybe drives into the city, drives to work, or you have a particular location where your work or life is built around, in 2026, you might start exploring options that might involve technologies that allow you to be wherever you want. Maybe you want to never see winter again and you just want to travel the world with your laptop and uh, enjoy more summers. Wouldn't that be nice? So, you're going to just want to spread your wings, and that may mean you don't move anywhere. You might stay exactly where you are, but you will be inviting something different into your life. Variety is a spice of life, and that's going to be a huge topic for you in 2026 and beyond. So it's going to be an experimental period, as I mentioned. So because this is in your area of work, career, and what you're known for in the world, the underpinning desire here is that you're going to want to live life more on your terms, not what you think you should be doing. Uranus really likes to stick that middle finger up to the status quo. So if anyone tells you, no, you can't do that, or what have you, don't be surprised if you start pushing back. You might want to live life on your terms, experiment what works for you and what doesn't. And the only way you can really do that is by giving something a go. So, because this is related most strongly to work, profession, career, what you might find in 2026 and further down the line is that you may not want to sign up to situations that involve longer term employment. So say for example, if you're signing up for a job that they want you for some kind of minimum term, but that minimum term might be more than what you're willing to sign up for. So you might want to look at things like small contracts, temporary positions, casual employment, or more work-life balance potentially. The idea with Uranus is that you want to keep your options open because if you sign up or commit yourself to the one thing and another better offer comes along, then you might be locked into something you can't get out of. Keeping in mind that because the 10th house is also about your public reputation, I know in some industries and some jobs, if you change around too much, it doesn't look good. There's others where if you change a lot, it's considered a benefit. Then they might look at your CV and, why were you not working for this 6 months? What were you doing with your life? So these are all the kind of strategic things you might need to consider. So that being said, there will be a little bit of impetus, a little bit of desire sometimes with Uranus just to shake it all up. And that's totally okay too. What you'll need to do is embrace your natural curiosity. If in doubt, ask more questions. Try temporary rather than permanent solutions. But Uranus for the next 7 years is going to open you up to anything that's new, exciting, or different. So it is going to bring change, it's going to bring newness, and it's going to bring freshness. So it will kind of blow out anything that's tired, stuck, or stagnant in your life. And if you're someone who's not liking the sound of all of this, do keep in mind that if you don't consciously choose the change chooses you, then you have no choice. So it's better perhaps to have maybe temporary jobs or temporary contracts that may feel a little bit less substantial for a little bit of time than sticking it out in a job where it either is killing your soul or maybe you're just waiting to be fired or made redundant because the company's going broke or they're not renewing your contract or anything. So the idea is by keeping things freedom orientated, flexibility orientated, you're maintaining a little bit of authenticity and a little bit of control as well, as much control as possible when Uranus is involved. So there's also going to be a special kind of full moon as known as a lunar eclipse that's going to happen in your sign on the 3rd of March. So this is going to be a pretty stark lunation because it's going to be a full moon in your sign connected to the south node. So this is also going to bring a bit of a culmination to a good 18-month to 2 year cycle where maybe you've been fatigued, more tired than usual. Maybe you've also had some loss in your life, literal, metaphorical. You've gone through a symbolic personal cleansing thanks to the South Node in your sign. With the full moon coming through, it's going to shine a little bit of light on that. And it's going to ask you to say, hey, what other habits, patterns that are really holding you back from living the fullest life? Uranus at the top of the chart is saying, variety is the spice of life. Try all the things. So this eclipse is going to in beginning of March, then Uranus moves in at the end of April. This is going to be, yeah, maybe I do want to do things a little bit different. What limiting beliefs, what familiar patterns do I need to let go of, change, kick to the curb that I no longer need in my life? So it is going to feel like another maybe a round of loss, cleansing, letting go, but it's also going to infuse you with a lot of direction, a lot of energy, and a lot of focus. So it is going to be a decluttering type of eclipse for you as well. That decluttering could be physical, shedding weight, shedding things, shedding people, or it could be emotional as well, letting go of some things from the past that just aren't going to be a part of your new and revolutionary future. Financially, so you got a bit of a preview, like a big part of 2026 is the settling in of planetary patterns we were introduced to in 2025. So there's a lot here that's kind of not new. It's going to be more permanent and more obvious. So there's two big cycles that are coming into your money zones in 2026. Now, the money zone that is in most focus is the eighth. So the eighth house is the stuff to do with other people's money in general. So I'll extrapolate on that for you. So you're going to have the combined influences of Neptune and Saturn in 2026. So you might be reimagining a new financial reality. That was a lingering part of 2025. And now it's like, okay, 2026 is here. Come January, come February, it's okay, what am I going to do to commit to this financial dream that I've got? So from February 2026 through to April of 2028, the planet Saturn is going to be in Aries and in your eighth house. So the eighth house is about taxes, debts, other people's money, whether that money is through marriage or partnership, or family lineages, family connections, whether it's debt you have with the bank, debt you have with the tax department, all of those types of things that, some people don't like too much. So, Saturn here is going to ask you to step up, be responsible, be mature, and face these things. So, it might be a bit of a structuring process that needs to take place. So if you're heeding the call of Uranus and you want more freedom and flexibility professionally, Saturn may also be um, sort of ticking all the boxes, making sure you've got your financial side of things set up so you can maybe, got a nest egg, you've got your debts paid, what have you, so you can afford yourself the flexibility and freedom to have more choice in what you want to do with the bigger picture professionally or with your life. So it's going to be a phase of adulting with money. So this might include topics of savings. Have you got enough for whatever it is that you're choosing to do with your life? Maybe it's investments that you're wanting to grow a nest egg for yourself. Maybe you have debt you want to get rid of. Or maybe you're thinking, well, I'm of a certain age or stage of life and I need to be pumping more money into superannuation, for example, 401ks and things like that, they're called in the US. Now, keeping in mind that Saturn only comes to everyone's eighth house every 29 years. So it's a very rare cycle. And the eighth house is a house where death is one of the significations. Can be literal, can be metaphorical. And Saturn also has those significations as well. So, one of the questions that might be worth considering is what happens to your wealth? What happens to your money? What happens to stuff when you're gone? Sometimes I wonder, if someone in my own life dies or someone that I know and their Facebook page is still active or their Instagram page is still active, do you even have somewhere where those passwords, those logins are available to somebody so they can deal with your accounts, your emails, your apps, your phone, all of that sort of stuff. Because of our digital entanglements now, there's a lot of things to consider, especially if you work online. So this could also involve wills, power of attorney, and just the desires you may have or may not have regarding a funeral. Maybe you've got elderly parents and you need to take on more financial responsibility for them or help them make decisions around end of life arrangements, what happens to them after they are gone. Maybe you've accumulated enough wealth in your own life that you might need to make some choices around your own will and things of that nature. So, for example, you don't end up giving everything you've got to the state. So, obviously, this may not happen. I'm not predicting that for anybody, but what I'm suggesting is that this is an opportunity to face some of those grim realities we may not like to face. So that's just done and dusted. So there's no stress on the people in your life. And it may actually be something you won't have to even deal with for another 30 years. Another signification of this is, for example, maybe setting up financial structures in your life. Maybe you have partnered with someone, you've become married, maybe you've unmarried, maybe you're in a de facto situation and they've got kids, you've got kids, and if I die, does your kids and their mother get stuff? Like, all of those kind of complications with blended families. So it might just be about stuff to do with that. If you work for yourself and you've been trading as a sole trader for a period of time, would it be worth your while to go to that next level? We call it proprietary limited here. Maybe I think it's a LC in the US, but just the tax structures to make your tax situation more effective. So, whether you're getting married, whether you're getting divorced, um, prenups would be, potentially a wise thing with Saturn there. Having those caveats and those clauses just to keep everyone's interests safeguarded if that is the right avenue for you. I mean, some people are dead against that, and that's totally fine. So, all of these topics, yes, I've talked about them for a little bit. They can be a bit overwhelming. They are the topics that are very easy to sweep under the carpet until you actually have to address them. So, for example, my mother never addressed any of that, and it was a headache when she went away. So, they are overwhelming, and they are the things that we sometimes would prefer to bury our head in the sand. But it can be very helpful to face the white elephant in the room and deal with the things that, Neptune in that space might want you to be a little bit la-di-da about. And so Saturn facing the reality can help you avoid any deceit, deception, manipulation, or getting any of your money fleeced. So, Neptune can have that leaking energy. You'll just see the good in a situation as opposed to what it is for its reality. So, a lot of bit of heavy stuff there, but combined, all of this is just going to invite you to be an adult when it comes to your money and your financial future, and also commit to your dreams for your financial reality as well. Now, relationships. So, your personal planet is Mercury. So, that is the planet that rules Virgo, and it's going to be in Pisces for longer than usual in 2026. So, a lot of the time, Mercury can whip through a sign in just 2 weeks. In 2026, it's going to be in your seventh house of marriage and relationships for 2 months. So when Mercury is in a sign for longer than usual, you know that's going to be inclusive of a retrograde phase. So the totality of this journey will take you from the 7th of February through to the 15th of April, quite some time. This is going to help you get clear about communicating in relationships. This might invite you to learn more about your partner. What are their dreams? What are their hopes? What are their goals? To go a little bit beyond some of the maybe functional conversations that might mean running a household, having those general discussions. Maybe this is about getting to know your partner a little bit better, maybe getting to know your relationship dynamics better. And even if you're not partnered, this might be about understanding yourself in relationships, maybe some of the stuff that from the past and what's preventing you or blocking you from the future. So, this is just about making more of a concerted effort to have meaningful conversations with your partner, with your spouse that take you a little bit beyond what's for dinner tonight. So, it can actually bring you closer together when you can talk about shared dreams, shared visions, and shared goals. So, if you're single, this is going to be what do you need to know about yourself, about your relationship beliefs, your relationship habits and patterns, and potentially any, traumas or situations that didn't work out the way you might have liked them to, and how you can be a better partner to somebody moving forward. So it's the 26th of February to March 21 is the retrograde period. So that's going to be the height of confusion, of snafus, of crossed wires with a romantic partner, people in general. It could also be clients, bookings, whether you've got a hairdressing appointment or you have a one-on-one client business. So, one good thing about this particular Mercury retrograde period is that Venus is going to be in the mix with it for a little bit. So, even though there's going to be confusion and upsets and some logistical errors, Venus is going to add this level of compassion, of forgiveness, smoothing over the details, and it doesn't matter. So, that's going to help maybe draw you closer. If you can bring out someone's inner feelings, inner emotions with Mercury retrograde in those deeper, meaningful conversations, Venus can help bring that lovely energy that can bring you closer together, maybe help you not look at someone's flaws, but their potential or, the goodness within. There's going to be a level of patience going to be required because Mars is also going to push through this space between March 3 and April 10. And that's going to overlap a little bit with the Mercury retrograde from the 3rd of March to the 21st of March. So that would be your window where you might be keen to push for progress. You might be keen to assert things, organize things, plan things, do the Virgo things, and get everything in the diary organized 6 months in advance. It may not be your best time to push for progress then, or push a person to talk about feelings. It's going to be a little bit of a tender spot. So, Mars is still going to Mars. So you still are going to want to get things moving forward, but just try a potentially a softer or a more gentle approach. Adventure. Adventure, travel, discovery. This is going to be alive for you, and you might be hungry for adventure in the first part of the year through until April 26th before Uranus moves into your 10th. It will remain in the ninth. So essentially, you're winding up a 7 year cycle that first began in 2018 and then settled in 2019. So that's going to bring from, I mean, just trying to think now, what's today? The 7th of November. I think Uranus only moved in yesterday, maybe the day before, last little bit. Um, so Uranus is back in that space now. So you might be watching this video just a few days after that. So essentially, you've got Uranus there now, and it will be there until April 26th of 2026. So you might feel like there's this urge, I've got to do this thing, I've got to go to this place, I've got to take that path less traveled. So it's this one last shot to maybe do something a little radical, different, or, if you've been talking with a friend, for example, oh, we should go to here or we should go there, or, whatever floats your boat, you might just bite that bullet and go for it. So it's really quite exciting. This could involve ninth house topics, an exotic holiday, doing something fun, adventurous, and out of the ordinary. So you might have a particular location or a particular style of holiday you like to take, but you might decide to do something totally out of the ordinary for you. If you've been holding back on doing something, thinking, no, should I, shouldn't I, or maybe that's not me, go for it. You got a cosmic green light to do something different. You might want to explore something philosophical. Maybe you want to bite the bullet and go back to uni or start a degree, learn something different, finally start writing a book, publishing something. Maybe you want to change your religion. Who knows? It could be all and those things and more. The key thing is with the ninth house is what are you doing to create a meaningful life? What are you doing to create a stronger connection to a sense of purpose? Whether that's what you do in the world, whether that's how you feel connected to God or godlike energy. The ninth house is about adventure. It's traditionally known as the house of God. So you might want to have an adventure for a mystical or a religious experience. You might want to have travel plans that completely open up or shift your worldview or your perspective on things. So if you've been erring on the side of caution when it comes to throwing caution to the wind, I would suggest do consider making some moves in the first portions of the year, sort of halfway between Q2, because Uranus, he ain't coming back. He is going to leave Taurus for good April 26th, and we won't see him again in any of our lifetimes. Unless you're watching this quite young and you live very old. So you've also got Venus, your personal travel planet, pushing through this space, moving through this space between March 31 and April 24. So this will be a key period to do something that you enjoy, whatever it is in that ninth house space. What I find really interesting with this configuration is that just as Uranus prepares to leave Taurus, Venus will usher it out. So this combination is going to be really supportive. Whatever you choose to do will have something, just that little something to it that's going to have something meaningful for the future as Uranus moves into Gemini, because then Venus will also be, continuing on. So there's a connection there. Point being is that around that period of time, March and April, if you get that thirst for adventure, go for it. Okay, there's more. Mars will also come through that space between the 19th of May and 19th of May and June 29, I think it is. Can't read my notes here. So let me pull out my ephemeris for you. So, May 19th. Yeah, I'm right. Okay, I can read my own handwriting there. So, yeah, so Mars will be in that space, and that happens just once every 2 years. What's going to be different about this is that there's no Uranus. So you're going to really be able to carve out that path. It's going to be just another Mars in Taurus transit for you, which you've not experienced for a long time at this point in time. So it might show you just how much you've changed in that period of time since 2018. It might show you how different your perspectives on the world are, your point of view of life, your sense of meaning and purpose in life. Maybe your religious, spiritual, or academic persuasions have really shifted in this period of time. So Mars is going to be at that call to action, all the changes, all the discoveries, make something of it. Friends, so friendships, groups, communities, a sense of luck are going to continue to blossom until June 30, because you've got the rare transit of Jupiter in Cancer, which began early June of 2025. So it's almost a 13-month cycle in total where friendships have blossomed. They've been a container of support and nourishment. They've opened doors for you and provided opportunities for connection and general friendship. Now, as Jupiter spends half the year, a little over half the year in this space in 2026, you're going to realize potentially that you're wanting to align yourself with people who may share similar philosophies to you. So maybe it's a kin or a clan, people that share similar interests that you have more in common with. You can talk about your big goals, your big dreams, your big hopes for the future, and they can either support you, fan your flames, or they are also like-minded. You might also want to spend more time, more energy, more effort in those people who have the potential and the capacity to open doors for you. Jupiter in Cancer for you in your 11th house is what we would call a double luck phase. The 11th house is the luckiest house in your horoscope, and Jupiter is the luckiest planet. So you've basically got the first half of 2026 to continue to explore those opportunities, to say yes to things that you may not normally say no, yes to. It's a bit of a Midas touch type of vibe there. So say yes to events, say yes to the opportunities to meet people, whether it's for friendship, whether it's for work and industry connections, who you know, what, not what you know, maybe what takes you far in the first half of the year. Mercury retrograde will be there, so Mercury being your planet, of course, and this is going to suggest what does friendship mean for you. So June 30 to July 24 is the retrograde phase. So this might also just bring the regular Mercury snafus, hiccups, but also a chance to think friendship, reflect on the past 12 months, nearly 13 months, and just take a quiet, a little bit of mental accounting, which the energy of Cancer is very good at doing. And, who was a good friend to me in the past 12 months? Who was I a good friend to? Where could I improve? Where did I not get it right in a few places there? So you might need to scale back on engagements as you're doing this process, or maybe you might also realize that with all the Jupiterian energy there, you've overcommitted, making mistakes, getting times, events, plans, all of the friendship stuff, maybe a little bit too much confusion, cross wires and errors, and you might realize you just need to scale things back a bit. Now, birthdays. So if your birthday falls between the 8th and the 23rd of September, Jupiter is going to form a sextile to your sun. So this is going to be the encouragement to get out of a comfort zone. Sextiles are often regarded as being sort of gentle, easy aspects, but they kind of are, but they need a push, they need an encouragement, they need a little bit of a prodding or a goading to do something. So there might be times where you want to sit this one out, I might just sit at home and watch some Netflix instead of going to XYZ event, but it might be just going a little bit more than where you think you can go. Say yes to life, say yes to opportunities, and maybe have a little faith that the good effort and the good intentions you push forward with will yield results. Now, if your birthday's from the 19th to the 23rd, this one's a little bit of a trickier situation because you will have Saturn opposing your sun. With the astrology of this year, there's a lot of overlap, so the dates will overlap. But Saturn opposing the sun is a little bit of a tougher transit. It might be the realization where you've overstretched, you're overcommitted, or maybe you've not stretched enough, or you haven't stepped up to the plate enough. Saturn is demanding. It's a taskmaster. We just don't get out of we don't get out of scot-free when it comes to Saturn. So you are going to have to push a bit, maybe push to explore a limit, take on more than you think you can, but don't take on too much. There's sometimes it's the idea of you're better to under promise and over deliver. And I think when Saturn is in the mix, that's going to be a good ethos. So it might be in some respects, step up to the plate, grow up, but then it might, do the things, do the responsible thing. But then it's also being aware of where your limit, where your boundary is. It's stretch it a bit, but not too much. Now, if you have a birthday on the 23rd of September, Neptune is sitting squaring your sun for forever. So that began back in October of 2025, and it will stay there until January 2027. Now, this is a period of kind of loss, of disillusionment, and sometimes even disappointment. This is also, when we think about loss, disillusion, disappointment, we just seem to think of the negative. It can also be a big cleansing, a cleansing that will help renew, that will help bring fresh growth and new possibilities. And those possibilities may even be a little bit mystical or magical in nature. There may be periods this year where you're going to need to rest and you're going to need to acknowledge if you've overdone it or if you're fatigued. Make room for a little bit of magic as well. So that's your overview for 2026. I hope you enjoyed it and you got a lot out of it. If you would like to explore astrology throughout 2026 at a more granular level, my Golden Circle astrology membership is the place to do that. So they are monthly videos that come out each and every month that will guide you through the month. So you'll get transits, moon calendars, in-depth descriptions of everything and how it might show up personally, collectively, and really help you navigate through all of the changes that are happening in 2026. Of course, readings are always available, so they're there to book in if you want to see how all this applies to your chart specifically. And if you want to learn astrology, if you feel like, yep, I'm going to take that last ditch attempt to learn something new where Uranus is not coming back to after April, then my Contemporary Astrology Program, Year One Beginners, from beginning of astrology through to reading charts by the end, it begins December 10. Registration is open now, so there'll be a link below where you can look through some of what's on offer, and hopefully we will see you inside the Contemporary Astrology Program. So there's lots on offer so far in 2026, and I hope to see you there for at least some of it.